What's going on, guys, and welcome to Highly and Alph Gaming. I'm your host, Alph, and for the first time ever, I'm making a second top 10 for the same game. It's been months since my top 10 Splatoon 2 weapons came out, and in that video I promised that I would make a countdown about Splatoon 2's sub-weapons and special weapons. Subs and specials, as I'll refer to them most of the time. I'm now delivering on that promise with my countdown of the top 5 Splatoon 2 subs and the top 5 Splatoon 2 specials. To make my choices, I'll be choosing based on effectiveness, ease of use, and visual flair, with visual flair and ease of use mostly pertaining to the list of specials. Before we get started, I do want to address something that I didn't really mention in my first Splatoon 2 top 10, and that's the fact that I spend about 80% of my Splatoon time in ranked battles, so if you don't play ranked battles a lot, that might make you disagree with my list. I try to make my lists appeal to a wide variety of modes, but I'm gonna be saying what I feel is true based on my gameplay experiences, which are mostly in ranked battles. There isn't a whole lot to say other than that though, so let's get started with the list of subs. For my number 5 Splatoon 2 sub, we've got the Splash Wall. Now, the Splash Wall was originally featured in Splatoon 1, and when I first started playing, I didn't really get what it was for. I was just like, great, it inks in a little rectangle and doesn't do much at all. It wasn't till I really started to get into the game that I realized that the Splash Wall isn't there to ink turf or kill dudes, but rather to act as a precursor to Fortnite. If you throw out a splash wall, especially in more narrow areas, you can not only hide behind, but also shoot at enemies through it. The splash wall provides a great defense that you can just pop out at any time, provided you have the necessary ink, but it's difficult to effectively use in open areas. It can be very useful, but I don't think it's useful enough to be better than number 5. For number 4, we have Toxic Mist. I'll admit, I don't use Toxic Mist very often, and I don't really know why that is. Either way, throwing out a vial of Toxic Mist will create a foggy, spherical cloud of ink in your color that slows and affects the ink refilling of any foe unfortunate enough to be caught in the mist. The mist is especially useful in matches where a confined space is the center of attention, such as splat zones or tower control. Toxic Mist, however, does not do any damage to your opponents, so it's more of a nuisance than a hazard. Still quite useful, but just not the most effective. Like the Splash Wall, it's relatively situational, which is why it's only placed at number 4. At number 3, for the first time in Highly and Alph Gaming top 10 history, we have a tie. Taking the number 3 spot is both the Auto Bomb and the Curling Bomb. Interestingly enough, while I feel more or less the same about these two sub-weapons, they actually function quite differently. Before we get into how they function though, I would first like to go back to the two bombs' parent bomb, the Seeker. Appearing only in Splatoon 1, the Seeker was a bomb that sought after the nearest enemy, leaving a trail of ink behind it, and exploding upon contact with the first thing it touched. Nintendo must have thought that the Seeker was a little OP though, because they split the Seeker into two separate bombs for Splatoon's sequel, Auto and Curling Bombs. The Auto Bomb, when thrown, will stay exactly where it landed and explode unless there's an enemy in its assigned little circle. If there is an enemy nearby, the Auto Bomb will follow the nearest foe along a certain length of flat ground until it finally explodes. Unlike the Seeker, however, the Auto Bomb leaves no ink behind it until detonation. The Curling Bomb, then, slides along the ground like a giant hockey puck, leaving a thick enough to swim through trail of ink behind, bouncing around only until its timer goes off, not upon impact with anything. Why then are these two bombs tied for third? Well, it's really just because they're equally useful, just in different scenarios. Auto bombs are good for either killing or distracting enemies in more confined spaces, whereas curling bombs are better for leaving a long trail of ink in an open space or at the beginning of a match. Both of these bombs' usefulness combined to earn the Auto Bomb and Curling Bomb my spot for the third best Splatoon 2 sub-weapon. For number 2, I've chosen the Burst Bomb. Damage-wise, the Burst Bomb is the worst in the game, being the only bomb to not instantly splat an enemy at point-blank range. This is an obvious problem, but I feel that the Burst Bomb makes up for this flaw in a few different ways. For one thing, the Burst Bomb acts more like a water balloon than a grenade, which means there's no need to plan out where your enemy will go, you just throw it at them. And in the heat of battle, your enemy will most likely be damaged a little bit already, which can make it super easy to splat them with one hit of a Burst Bomb. In addition to all that, the Burst Bomb's instant exploding abilities can make it a quick and easy way to ink an uncovered section of map. The Burst Bomb also takes less ink than other sub-weapons, which is always nice. These factors all combine to make the Burst Bomb my number 2 pick for Splatoon 2 sub-weapon. And now for number 1, we have the Point Sense No. Number 1 on my list is the Suction Bomb, and I've literally spent 5 minutes trying to come up with a way to finish this sentence and just gave up. The suction bomb is basically an ordinary splat bomb, but it doesn't bounce around at all, it just automatically sticks to the first surface it hits, regardless of that surface's orientation, obviously exploding a moment later. I really like all the bombs, and some of the other subs in Splatoon 2, but the suction bomb is my favorite for a number of reasons. It kills in one hit, which is nice, but sticking to walls and ceilings can be more useful than you might think. A prime example of sticking to anything can be found in the ranked mode tower control. Let me walk you through what I mean. So, you're chilling on the tower as it's moving, right? Like the smart inkling you are, since nothing super interesting is happening, you're sitting in the ink to protect from unexpected attacks. Though you won't normally be able to get splatted quickly on the tower in your ink, you toss a suction bomb onto the pole right in the middle of the tower whenever you can to stop the enemy that just killed you from taking the tower. Tower control is one of the best places to have a suction bomb, but they can be useful for inking or taking out enemies regardless of what you're doing, getting into nooks and crannies that would be all but unreachable for other bombs. The suction bomb is great no matter how you slice it, earning it the #1 spot for my Splatoon 2 sub-weapons. Moving on to my list of the top 5 special weapons, at number 5 we have the Baller. When activated, the Baller allows your Inkling or Octoling to run around and climb walls, leaving behind a trail of ink and exploding when you set it off. Now, a few months ago, I would have ranked the Baller much higher than number 5. Nintendo nerfed the Baller, making it easier to pop, but it's still quite difficult to do so. I haven't been able to find this confirmed anywhere, but it seems to me like Nintendo also drastically reduced the size and power of the Baller's explosion. I'm not really sure, but while preparing for this video, I felt like the Baller's explosion just isn't nearly as useful as it used to be. The Baller is still plenty useful, providing protection, good transportation, and a still nice explosion, but the patches Nintendo made to the game reduced the Baller's greatness to only earn it the number 5 spot. For number 4, I've chosen the Inkjet. Some of you may be surprised to see the Inkjet only at number 4, but just hear me out. There's no denying that the Inkjet can turn skilled players into an absolute splatting machine, and it can certainly turn the tides of battle when used well. The key here, though, is when used well. See, the Inkjet is one of the most difficult specials to use properly, almost as difficult as the Stingray if you ask me. The projectiles the Inkjet shoots travel pretty slowly and are difficult to aim, and the Inkjet is low enough to the ground that it's pretty easy to get splatted while using it. Again, it can be the difference between a win and a loss, but it's so difficult to master that I've only placed it at number 4. At number 3, we have the Inkstorm. When activated, the Inkstorm gives you what looks like a giant splat bomb, and when you throw it, it shoots up a big rain cloud into the air. This cloud will slowly move along in the direction you threw it for a limited time, covering turf and giving steady damage to your opponents that are in its radius. The Inkstorm is a really useful way to sort of ink a larger territory, but when I play against it, I find that the damage it does to players is much more effective. This may be my least favorite special to play against, just because even when you're swimming completely in your own color of ink, the Inkstorm will damage and kill you if you're in its circle on the ground. It doesn't kill me too often though, seeing as it can be pretty easy to avoid, which is why it's only number 3. For number 2, I've picked a whole bunch of specials, but they're all basically the same. The different types of bomb launchers upon activation allow you to throw bombs of a certain type indefinitely, or at least until your special meter runs out. Biggest weakness of the bomb launcher? Most of the bombs don't land near you, so it's easy to get splatted while throwing out the bombs. I didn't want to have them all be separate items on the list though, so to keep it interesting, I'll just rank the different types of bomb launchers. Number 4, the Auto Bomb Launcher. It's great for clearing an area, but provides more of an annoyance than effectiveness. Number 3, Splat Bomb Launcher. The bombs bounce all over the place, a good time is had by all, but isn't great outside of something like splat zones. Number 2, Curling Bomb Launcher. Curling bombs go everywhere, and the ink trail they leave makes it harder for enemies to escape the explosion. Only good in flatter areas though. Number 1, Suction Bomb Launcher. All of them land exactly where you want, so it's easy to cover and take control of whatever area you need to. Good, good. Number 1, Special Time. And now, for my number 1 Splatoon 2 special, we have the Splashdown. When it comes down to it, the Splashdown is probably one of the simplest specials in the game. You activate it, jump up, and slam back down on the ground with a huge inky explosion. It's quick, easy, and effective, which is probably its most valuable characteristic. Depending on both the terrain and the skill of your opponent, you can indeed get splatted in the moments leading up to the landing of your Splashdown, but most people just try to run away. The Splashdown has such a large radius though, that even those who try to flee it at least take some damage, which can make them easy pickings. Even when used perfectly, it could potentially be considered less useful than other specials, but the thing about the Splashdown is that just about anyone can use it. You don't have to aim any bombs, you don't have to choose who to fly toward, you just jump up in the air and slam on the ground, creating a flurry of destruction as you do. The Splashdown is both effective and easy to use, which is why I placed it as my number 1 Splatoon 2 special weapon. Thanks for watching, everyone. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and remember to tell me your favorite Splatoon 2 subs and specials down in the comments below. See you next time and have a great day.